I'm Dana Perino, along with Greg Gutfeld, Jesse Waters, Juan Williams, and Kennedy. It's 5 o'clock in New York City. This is The Five. All right, as you can see, we're doing things a little bit differently today and going forward. As much as we love sitting elbow to elbow, and we mean that sincerely, we want to set a good example for everyone and practice physical distancing. So here we are. We're oh,
look at that.
We're going to see, like, we're separated. So Greg and I are here having to face each other. Juan and Jesse are up there. We can see them. Kennedy, we see you there in the pod. Hi, Kennedy. So we're all trying to do the right thing here. And the reason, of course, is because life in our country is changing by the minute. In an unprecedented effort to help contain this coronavirus, millions of Americans are working from home, and school closings across the U.S. are impacting more than half of young students in the country. Cities and states closing bars and restaurants with the exception of takeout. Greg's happy about that.
Yep.
And San Francisco and surrounding counties telling residents to shelter in place for the next 3 weeks. Earlier today, the White House issuing new guidelines to slow the spread of the virus over the next 15 days, and that includes limiting social gatherings to less than 10 people to help stop the spread of the virus. Here's more from the president.
My focus is really on getting rid of this problem, this virus problem. Once we do that, everything else is going to fall into place. We're not thinking in terms of recession. We're thinking in terms of the virus. Once we stop, I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand, both in terms of the stock market and in terms of the economy. If you don't have the symptoms, if your doctor doesn't think you need it, don't get the test.
The president also weighing in on the progress being made on a vaccine.
A vaccine candidate has begun the phase 1 clinical trial. This is one of the fastest vaccine development launches in history. Not even close. We're also racing to develop antiviral therapies and other treatments, and we've had some promising results, early results, but promising.
Greg, let's start with you.
Yes.
I don't know whether to look at you or to look at I'll look at the camera, but it is very, tempting.
It's weird because basically you're just across from me.
Yes.
And so I can just block your face. I can touch your face without touching your face, which is really creepy.
Yeah, don't touch my face. I can't even touch my own face.
Yes. So anyway, first of all, you cannot now meet beyond a group of 10 people, which means Sunday's Lou Dobbs hot tub party, we're going to have to reschedule till August. But I'm really tired. I'm actually pretty tired. And I have friends that are kind of bumming me out who keep saying we're overdoing it. And I know that we're all hearing it, but I'd say I would prefer to look back and be wrong and look back and be foolish than think about, oh, I didn't do enough. So I'm willing to bite the bullet now, peel that Band-Aid off. And you may never know if your overreaction helped and the people who underreacted are going to gloat and say, see, it was no big deal at all, even though it was the overreactors that might have helped. And I also want to say something very positive. Yesterday, my neighbor, who's about 80, came over and let me know that she had plenty of food.
So sweet.
Yeah, and she said, me and Elena are welcome to come over. And I was thinking about how when you watch these movies about the apocalypse, or the entertainment industry makes us falsely believe that during times of crisis, humans turn on each other, like we're fighting over toilet paper and chicken. It's not the case. The innate reaction among human beings is to help.
It is.
You know, if you have a problem carrying something or you can't pick up your kids, someone else is going to do it. And I think that's what we're going to learn here. I would also add, a lot of people talk about social distancing. We should be social distancing from social media, because I find that when I'm around and I'm on Twitter a lot, I'm filling my brain with a lot of stuff that is unreliable, and I think I should step away. It's also like the stock ticker. I wish they would take that down, because it just makes me...
You need to watch it.
Don't need to watch it.
As you said in the green room, we're talking about watching water boil. Like, it doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Kennedy, I know that you're experiencing what many parents across America are experiencing, that your kids are home. How's that going?
It's very interesting. The whole process, it unfolds so quickly. So I have 2 girls in public schools here in New York City. And last week, toward the end of the week, there were fewer and fewer students who were attending. My girls both went on Friday, and there was almost no one there. And you really got the sense, with the threatened teacher sick out and a couple of the city council people here in New York City, that they were going to shut down schools. And for them, it's interesting because they have a ton of work on Google Classroom. So they've got everything laid out. But also, it's an interesting period where we get to work as a family figuring out how to deal with the crisis. And the most important thing you have, and Greg kind of touched on this, is your attitude toward it. So if you face it as a challenge and you work on it together and we figure out what we have and what we need, then you can work from there instead of worrying about what you don't have and trying to get as much of that as possible, even if you don't necessarily have a need for that. I know the president addressed that today, and I love the idea that Greg's neighbor reached out to him, and I would say the same thing. If you have older neighbors, make sure that they have everything they need so they don't have to go out and get it. And if you're making soup, if you've got extras, freeze some and take it over so to put their minds at ease and get them whatever they need from the drugstore.
I'll tell you, and also your household will benefit from the fact that you're a fabulous cook. I am not, though I tried a little bit this weekend. Jesse, how about you? How was the weekend, and what are you thinking about things today?
Well, I went to visit my mom this weekend, and she made me wear gloves to come inside of her house. She's suspicious that I might have coronavirus, and I wore the gloves all afternoon in the house, and that's what it is. I didn't take the social distancing that seriously. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, I went out to dinner here in the city, and I woke up this morning and I realized that was not the right move. I am no longer going out to dinner. I was trying to help my local restaurants.
Yeah.
And we've stocked up on all the groceries, and we went to the liquor store, and I bought about 5 bottles of wine and some vodka. So I'm good for about a week, not 2, but at least 1 week. But I urge all my fellow Americans, no matter where you are, to respect the social distancing urging from the President of the United States. And, you know, it can be a good thing. You can relax with your loved one. You can watch The Five. You don't have to go out to the bar, you know? Take it easy. But with that said, it is bizarre because usually when there's a challenge facing this country, Americans unite. They come together, and then they overcome. But this time, in order for us to overcome, we need to separate ourselves from each other. We're almost dividing ourselves in order to unite and in order to defeat this virus. And that is a very counterintuitive thing to do, but you have to do it. And you have to think, when this is all over, and it's got to be over within the next couple months, but when it is, Mother Nature has taught us a lesson. Yeah. We're going to be more self-reliant. We're going to be less dependent as a country and as individuals on other people and on other countries. And that may be a good thing, because right now this looks like it's impacting the United States of America worse than terrorism. 30% got knocked off the stock market. Whole industries are shut down. Schools closing. Professional sports. Nothing like this we've ever seen in America. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to find out what happened, why it happened, where it happened, and the lessons will be learned.
And of course, with terrorism, that's a threat you know, and you know how to combat it when you're fighting against a virus that is mutating as we speak. That is harder. Juan, let's get you in here and tell me about how you're feeling about things. Congress did pass, or is about to pass, some legislation to try to sort of be phase 2 of helping out these Americans who are going to need it.
Well, I'm glad you reached out to me, your elderly neighbor here, Dana. Because at 65, I'm in that group.
No,
you know?
I hear you. Yeah, I know. My husband too.
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys have soup, bring it over. You know, I'm right here. You know, I'll lap up Kennedy's soup or tacos or whatever she's got.
I'll make some queso.
Queso?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, don't do it.
Queso,
We're going through enough problems, Dana.
One emergency at a time.
Yeah, I think that toilet paper rush will be justified.